hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to our conversation with Attorney Leni Robredo, our former Vice President in the Philippines. Attorney Robredo has also been a recipient of People Asia's People of the Year Award in 2021. She was the Filipina Women's Network Most Influential Woman of the World in 2016. And even Thailand recognized her with an honorary Outstanding Woman Award of the Year, also in 2016. And of course, she was just awarded by our university, the University of the Philippines Alumni Association, as its most distinguished alumna award. So welcome back to She Talks Peace, Attorney Leni.
Thank you for having me again, Amina.
I was just, where we left off, we were talking about the work that Angat Buhay is doing because you did
Yes.
say that you see priority for us really to do
Mm-mm.
something about education and health. So can you tell us a little bit more about what your learning hubs are doing? How do you get the community to really be the ones to be the change agent? Because sometimes, I'm sure you've seen this also when you were
Mm.
moving around, sometimes the communities get so used to, the dole out mentality that they
Yes.
just wait. So how do you trigger them? How do you encourage them so that they can be the change agent within their own uh, their own provinces and municipalities?
Kami talaga, Amina, we're dependent on partnerships. Most of our partners are also private organizations like us. So some of them, right now, many of our partners are the volunteer groups that were formed during the campaign. But we also partner a lot with organizations, corporations, civic clubs, where we have shared advocacies. Halimbawa, when I was still vice president, we were building a lot of dormitories. We were building a lot of dormitories inside public high schools and inside state colleges where dropout rates are very high. And the reason for the high dropout rates is that children have to walk very, very far just to go to school. So we have been building dorms in areas like that. The first dorms that we've built were in Mindanao. I remember the first two dorms that we've built was in a town called Siayan in Zamboanga del Norte. At that time, Siayan was the poorest municipality in all of the Philippines for a very long time, and the dropout rates were very high. We have dormitories also in Bukidnon. We have dormitories in Negros Oriental, Eastern Samar, Western Samar, Cebu. But when I was still vice president, we didn't have resources to build dorms. So what we did was we partner with civic clubs, and they are the ones who build the dorms. We enter into a memorandum of agreement with the schools where we are building dorms in. So the assignment of the schools is that they will provide a space for the dorm, and then they will hire a dorm master to take care of the children who live in
Mm-hmm.
the dorm, and then students stay for free inside the dorm. So it's really a community thing in the sense that once the dorms are built, our local partners would take charge of providing for the equipment of the dorms. Some would give beds, equip the dorms with what they need. Some would give computer sets. So it's really it's a partnership between more than two organizations, ours included, and that has produced tremendous results. When the pandemic happened and schools were closed, we thought of launching Bayanihan Eskwela, but the
Uh-huh.
intent of the intent of Bayanihan Eskwela then was to solicit computers for students who would be doing virtual classes and do not have computers of their own. So we were able to gather thousands of computers. Most of them were used already, but were still workable. But as we were doing the gadget donation drive, we realized that the problem was more than gadgets.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
The problem really was because schools decided, especially public elementary schools, decided that lessons will be continued by the use of modules.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a lot of students who do not have the capacity, or
That's
whose
right.
parents do not have the capacity to do the modules, to help their children do the modules at home. So what we did was, the idea for of the community learning hubs was there would be a place in the communities where children could go to,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are trained tutors in those community learning hubs, which can help the students accomplish the modules. We set up computers, we set up internet connections. So our community learning hubs during the pandemic were being used not just by grade school students, but also by high school and college students who do not have gadgets of their own, because we have computer sets inside those community learning hubs. We were very much encouraged by the response because students were out of school at that time, so there were a lot of college students who were not doing anything outside of their virtual classes, and they were the ones volunteering to
Oh,
be
that's
tutors. And
wonderful.
yeah, that was really wonderful. And we partnered not just with the UP College of Education, but with a lot of NGOs who have education also as their advocacies. We have Habi, we have Education Lab. We have a lot. So they were the ones training our tutors. We did the trainings online kasi lockdown lahat eh.
Mm-hmm.
We did
That's
the
right.
trainings online, but the experience from that is that we were able to develop a sense of, not just a sense of volunteerism,
Mm-hmm.
but a sense that education is really a shared responsibility of the community.
Right.
So even when schools reopened already, a lot of the schools in the local schools asked us to continue, and requested us that there was still, they told us that there was still a need for your community learning hubs, even if schools were open already, because we have very slow learners, and
Mm-hmm.
we would want a partner who can take care of our slow learners. So what happened is that teachers would send us students who were slow, and our tutors would help them. So it has become a very good partnership. But
Yeah.
when most of our students had to go back to school themselves, that was the
Oh,
problem. We partnered with local colleges which offer education courses. So
yeah.
when they volunteer with us, it's considered their internship already. So that
Practical.
it,
Yes.
it became it became very, very sustainable. As I speak, we have 138 community learning
Mm-hmm.
hubs all over the country. Luzon, Visayas, in Mindanao. I think our farthest is Zamboanga. We
Mm-hmm.
also have in Sultan Kudarat. So
Mm-hmm.
it's where we have volunteers who have community learning hubs. So it's been very satisfying. Some of the areas we have integrated feeding already, especially in communities where the demographics is
Yes.
that there are many poor families.
Right.
So ano na, teachers are telling us now that it even improved attendance in school, because love for learning is there. Some of the schools have offered us a place already within the school, kasi it's
Yeah.
also beneficial to them. They don't have to take the burden of, alam mo yun, yung pag-alalay sa
Mhm.
slowest student.
That's
So they
true.
give they send to us the slower learners, and pag
Mhm.
okay na sila, binabalik na
Then
namin.
you
So they
bring them
send
back.
us a new cohort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attorney Lenny, when I'm much older than you, so when I
Mhm.
was in grade school, our parents actually sent us to public school. At the time, we were living in Mandaluyong, so I went to a primary school called Highway Hills Elementary School,
Mhm.
and two things that I can never forget. One was the daily feeding program.
Oo.
And when I was in grade school, government had a feeding program for public schools because public schools, generally the working class and the poorer classes of
Mm.
our society go to public school. But our parents wanted us to learn what it's like, so they sent us to public school, walking distance from the house. The second thing that I really remember and appreciated, our public schools, our teachers included in our curriculum gardening.
Mm.
So all students would plant vegetables. So in my case, we planted pechay. So
Mm.
you can harvest the pechay, bring it home, and then you had vegetables. And it's really a shame that our public educational system, instead of really looking at how do you strengthen the link between education and health, seems to be focusing on education as a means to get our people more skilled so that we can quickly send them out abroad so that they can earn and send remittances. So
Totoo, which is
it's
sad.
right, which is sad because you might as well just end up teaching them in uh, 12, 12 level 12, and then just teach them car mechanics and send them abroad. That seems to be
Totoo.
what's happening. But the concept of citizenship, the concept of really supporting your community, do you see that as something that's no longer taught in our schools? And do you think that we should really be looking at the role of a citizen in strengthening a democracy, in the supporting the nation, uniting the nation? How does one do that in
Um,
education?
Ako, amin na, I cannot speak for the rest. What I know of is what I get to observe when we go to the ground. Pero tingin ko kasi, parang parang the entire system has become so bureaucratic already
Mm,
na na parang nawala sa focus what we really want out of the kind of education system that we have. Halimbawa, yung sinasabi mo, we have a lot of tech voc programs
yes.
na ako I'm all for it. Tingin ko napakalaking bagay ng tech voc programs. Pero gaya ng sabi mo, parang students are being prepared for skills that are needed abroad. And not much focus is given on what are the opportunities here. Kasi
Yes.
you can't entirely claim that there are no opportunities here. Kasi di ba amin na during the pandemic, we also launched a program where parang jobs matching platform. We did a
Mm-hmm.
jobs matching platform. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
when we did shuttle buses during the pandemic, parang parang the heartbreak was so huge for us because we
Right.
would get a lot of passengers who were doing door-to-door applying for work.
Oh
So ang
dear.
sinasabi namin, why don't we come up with a jobs matching platform so that people don't have to do door to door anymore. At one point, we had 29,000 jobs available. This was
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. We had
Mm-hmm.
29,000 jobs available. Pero 16,000 lang yung nag-qualify
Because they
because
didn't know.
they didn't have the skills. So,
Oh,
ang
no
para lang
wonder.
sa akin, yung 29,000 na yun, lahat nasa Pilipinas ang trabaho.
Right, yeah.
Marami sa kanila yung nasa mga export processing zone,
Uh-huh.
marami yung opportunities to do work from home, pero konti yung nagka-qualify. Yun nga, 16,000 lang yung nag-qualify. A lot of the openings, walang skilled na marunong. So, ang iniisip ko lang, kung merong ganitong opportunities, why don't we train our people for the kind of skills that the opportunities require of them? 'Di ba?
At home.
Kesa parang at home.
Yeah.
Um, Parang I think hindi ko actually, hindi din naman ako expert on the matter. Pero parang we're foregoing a lot of opportunities also. Halimbawa, itong K-12, ang daming opportunities nito kung
Right.
mapaayos lang natin. Pero
Right.
again, parang walang deliberate attempt to put heart and soul into it. Kasi di ba the idea of doing a senior high is for
Mm-hmm.
students who don't have the capacity to go to college or to go to college yet, magkaroon na siyang opportunities after graduation. So may mga tracks.
Right.
So we visit a lot of schools. Meron siyang electronics ba 'yon? I don't know what the track is. Pero parang may track siya na electronics. And then we see teachers teaching students yung parang kung paano maging electrician o ano. Pero walang actual na on the job training. Kawawa nga ang teachers because they teach students using Manila paper. Halimbawa,
Mm-hmm.
may mga areas na may culinary track, pero wala namang mga kitchen. We were very lucky that we were able to partner with Chef Jean Gonzalez.
Yes.
Saka yung may-ari ng Imarflex dito sa
Mm-hmm.
atin, yung Masflex. May-ari ng Masflex. So there were schools in Infanta Quezon, in Santa Maria, Romblon. And then natulungan namin, we put up a kitchen, we gave kitchen appliances and alam mo yon yung mga panluto. Pero
Right.
ang daming ganon. Ang gusto ko sabihin, nandyan yung idea of a senior high, bakit hindi natin paghusayin?
That's true.
So, there are a lot of wasted opportunities. We're not investing enough on our teachers. One of the things why the education system in Vietnam is working so well now is that they invested so much in their teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Pero sa atin, yung teachers natin overworked, underpaid, because they're
right.
being
They're
made to
doing
do a lot of
anything.
administrative work.
Right.
For them to be promoted to yung top level positions, they have to have a master's degree. So syempre mag-aaral din sila pero we don't give them naman study leaves or we don't give them salaries while they are studying. So nag-aaral sila on a weekday. Syempre nagsasuffer na yung instruction nun kasi pagod na sila. So sa akin lang, Amina, there are best practices already. We can learn a lot from yung countries where the education system is working. Halimbawa, galing ako sa Finland in January of this year. Nagulat ako kasi they're always number one as far as education is concerned, educational assessments. Pero if you look at their curriculum, sobrang gaan compared to ours. Sa atin, children are in school from 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Bugbog na bugbog sa subject. Sa kanila parang 3-4 na oras lang. Pero they're number one. As far as education is concerned.
That's an interesting differentiation. Because I think in Finland and the Scandinavian countries, it may look light, but there really is a lot of thinking that's happening, and the teachers really do try to shape the thinking process.
Totoo.
Because once you got that right, then your problem solving kicks in. Right?
They do not overregulate the teachers. Parang sobrang democratized ng instruction in the sense that the teachers can develop their own system of teaching, pero they are being assessed based on the performance of their students. If you can give time to look into what others are doing and that's working, baka pwedeng gawin din natin. Just be open to and just be accepting of our limitations and what we are doing wrong.
You're talking about developing the mental capacities of a child, baby. I mean, you're still a baby and you already have to start looking at how do you feed the child so that they're able to do better when they're older and when they go to school. And then when you're looking at the kinds of curriculum, the teaching style when you're in elementary and high school. So how do you really get young people to become innovative, constructive, and
Totoo.
become a potent force because in a majority of the population is
Saka
now
saka
very,
ano,
very
Amina,
young.
saka ano, that was one of my takeaways when I was at the Kennedy School during the fall term.
Mm-hmm.
Ako,
Yeah,
you were a student there for a year. So I am sure nakita mo yung difference of how, 'di ba mas madali doon yung school in the sense na ang mga college students dito sa Pilipinas, they are being made to be in school the entire day, 'di ba? The
that's
entire
true.
day. 'Di ba sa Harvard, you're there what? How many hours in a day? When I was teaching, halimbawa, I was teaching kasi pero I also attended the classes of Marshall Gans.
Mm,
Kasi that was my interest. So, si Marshall Gans, nagbibigay siya ng assignments, case studies. So, pagpunta sa klase, they don't really talk about the cases that were assigned, pero they
right.
talk about the issues surrounding
The
the
issue.
cases
That's
in
right.
their midst.
Yeah.
Parang iniisip ko lang at that time, siguro kung sa atin to, na nag-assign ako ng cases, the following discussion, magpaparecitation na ako ng mga who, what, where, when.
Yeah.
Tapos
Yeah.
siguro magpapa-exam ako ng who, what, where, when. Pero there, you don't talk about
No.
those things.
Yeah.
Because you're being encouraged to think critically. Parang
Yeah.
yun yata yung kulang sa atin.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because last semester I started teaching at the University of the Philippines in NCPAG. And I started with a course on women, peace, and security.
Oh, galing,
And
galing.
and the way that you're talking about reaching out and really getting young people to think critically, I tried to follow that. So we give them materials to read, to listen to, and then when we have our class, we talk about issues. And I was just thinking, looking at education from the point of view of the young is something that our leaders really need to do. Because if they do that, then they can tweak the
Yeah,
educational style so
totoo.
it's more, not even, I'm not talking about even practicality here. I'm talking about effectiveness. And I was
Mhm.
just thinking, in the work that you've been doing and education and Angat Buhay, I'm
Mhm.
very sure that your own children have been you've been using them also as your lens, looking at what works and what doesn't work. Are you inspiring your daughters to continue working for the communities?
Ako actually, Amina, none of my daughters worked for me. But Aika and Trisha became involved during the pandemic. Kasi si Aika helped us set up our systems. Ano yun eh, management engineer yun eh. So he helped us set up our systems. Trisha helped us conceptualize Bayanihan e-consulta, but that's about it. They're doing their own thing. So si Aika works for a nonprofit called Restart Me. She's executive director of that. Ano ito, ang kanila, yung victims of disaster, they help them. Si Tricia naman is still at the Harvard Medical School. Papasok siya ng second year. She's in a 2-year program, Masters in Global Health. Tapos na siya ng 1 year. She's doing her thesis. The focus of her study is hunger. Hunger and eradicating hunger and stunting. So yun yung kanyang focus. Etong dalawa Amina are also into development work. Si Trisha, even if she's a doctor, nasa mas doon siya sa public health. Doon yung kanilang interest. I think it's also because all our children were born when their dad was mayor already. And I was already a development worker. So, yung orientation nila, gano'n naman. Si Jillian lang sa amin yung corporate. Jillian graduated last year. She graduated BS Math and Econ. Pero she's working in a consulting firm right now. The consulting firm is London based, but Jillian works for the New York branch of the consulting firm. She will be working there only for a while, siguro give or take 1 or 2 more years, and then she's going back home also to work. So ang biro ng tatlo kong anak ang biro ng magkakapatid, si Aika saka si Trisha, sinasabihan nila si Jillian, Jillian, ikaw na lang magpamana magpayaman para ikaw nang bahala sa amin ni Trisha. Kasi ang trabaho ng dalawa, hindi talaga sila yayaman. Pero
Yeah.
I think they're okay with it because nakita naman nila kami mag-asawa na
Different.
kahit simple lang, yung mas, parang kayo din. Parang kayo din, Amina, na as long as you are given the opportunity to give back, masaya ka na.
Yeah. That's true. The reward, the psychic reward is extremely high. So you've got your three daughters, and they've been very supportive of you from the time that you became a congresswoman to the time you became a vice president. So I was going to ask you, because you had such a very, very heavy schedule. And our guest, the previous guest that we've been interviewing, when the stress becomes so much, you have to find a way to release the stress. In your case, Attorney Leni,
Wala
were,
ako dyan, Amina.
were your daughters the one who were your shock absorbers, keeping you sane, helping you maintain your balance?
In the sense, Amina, that when I'm home, we don't talk about work at all. We don't talk about issues. Even when I was vice president and I was in the center of so much, we never talk about it at home. So yung home for us is really a sanctuary. Now, when
Wonderful.
I'm home, I cook. When I'm home, I watch Netflix. When I'm home, I just eat with the children. But it's not. I bring homework. But it's not like it consumes us. Pero they've been so used to us working so hard. They've been used to me being in the office even during holidays. Siguro maswerte lang siguro ako, Amina, that when I entered politics, my children were grown-ups already. Jillian lang yung was still in high school. I get to bring them along pag pwede. Pero they're used to the long hours. Ngayon na I'm out of office already, whenever I have speaking engagements abroad, I invite them to join me. I
Nice.
invite them to kanya-kanya na kaming gastos, amin na. Kanya-kanyang pamasahe. Ang libre lang sa kanila hotel kasi libre ang hotel ko.
Right.
Pero if they're free, they join me. Like during my last speaking engagement in Oslo, they joined me during the tail end of the trip. We did Scandinavia. So ngayong October, I would have a series of speaking engagements also, and for part of the trip, they will also be joining me. So ganun na lang. We look forward to those small pockets where we can do side trips. When I was still in public office, we couldn't do that Kasi
Yes.
parati ako nagmamadaling bumalik. Pero now, parang I have the luxury to extend for a few more days to do parang yung personal side of the trip that's not work. So yun na lang yung ina-enjoy namin ngayon.
You know, my friends and colleagues in conflict areas, when we ask them how they manage stress, let me share with you some of the things they say. A dear friend, Angkana, based in Thailand, who actually faced several charges because they were really harassing her for the advocacy that she was doing defending Rohingya workers in some Thai firms. Another one who's in Palestine, one in Lebanon. And one of them, Ankana, said when she feels completely stressed out, she sews.
Oh my
Because,
God.
because when she's sewing by hand, she can't think of anything except the stitches.
Ako, amin na I clean.
Can you come to my house? So
Ako, I clean the house.
why does cleaning do it for you? Why does it
I
distress?
like that's the single most enjoyable activity for me, more than cooking. Cleaning
Really?
talaga, yeah. So I like cleaning the house. I like organizing. Medyo OC ako as far as that is concerned. So pag ako when I have every free time that I could get, I clean.
So even in your office, you maintain this cleanliness
Totoo,
routine.
totoo. Ako, I like organizing. So, I teach my staff how to organize. Kasi, organizing naman is just putting systems, di ba? So, I like doing that.
Yeah. So what's in store for Attorney Leni Robredo and Angat Buhay, Angat Pinas? What's in store for Leni?
Yung sa akin, more than half of my time is really angat buhay. A lot of the things I'm doing now is most of them are angat buhay connected. So I go around the country whenever there are invitations from our volunteer groups in the places where they launch programs or they inaugurate projects that they have been doing. So a huge part of my time is devoted to that. Siguro mga 20% of my time is doing speaking engagements. Kasi that's also the source of my income. I'm doing speaking engagements abroad. So I do that. Halimbawa, now I'm leaving again late September for another series of speaking engagements, but I will be gone only for a month. So it's basically that. Yung mga volunteer groups that were formed during the campaign, there are thousands of them. A lot of them we have been handholding kasi we have been encouraging all the groups to transform themselves from political organizations into civil society ones already and partner with us in our programs. We have a lot already. And nakakatuwa nga amin na because some of them are SEC registered already. Some of them have accredited themselves in their local LGUs. So nakakatuwa. We have been during the first anniversary of Angat Buhay last July 1, we had an activity to mark the anniversary. Pero yung activity was a sort of a developmental speed dating. We asked the volunteer groups to pitch projects and then we invited our partners over. At the end of 1 hour, we were able to get 25 million in pledges. And these are all pledges for the projects of our volunteers. So it's been very inspiring. Kasi it's not like sa amin na lang nakikipartner yung mga partners namin. They're also helping the local chapters, the local volunteer groups, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring them to continue the work that they are doing already. Ang aspiration namin, Amina, is not just to be able to design programs that are replicable, pero ang aspiration namin is yung mga volunteer networks on the ground mag-expand din sila. Parang ano lang, parang di ba may kasabihan, it takes a village? It takes a village to raise a child. Parang ganun din yung gusto namin maging konsepto. So we call the volunteer program Angat Bayanihan. So ang ini-instill namin sa kanila that you identify a single parang most difficult issue in your own communities and then you think of ways on how to contribute in solving them. So a lot of them are doing many things. A lot of them are running our community learning hubs. Some are into marine, biodiversity. So meron mga environment, ang iba naman women empowerment. So it's many different things. I think what happened during the campaign is nothing short of inspiring. Because a lot of people really went out of their way to help. Parang sayang naman if that kind of spirit of volunteerism will end with the elections.
You mentioned that it takes a village, right? And you also talked about the campaigns. And we are going to have our village campaigns in October.
Yes.
Dear listeners, in the Philippines, at the village level, which we call barangay, the leaders are elected. So you have a village captain, the barangay captain, and a council. And I was just thinking, Lenny, Angat Buhay, the community focus, of the projects that you're doing really requires a very good partnership with
Yes.
the village council, with the barangay. And the thing is, our barangays have budget. So I was just thinking, now that the campaign is coming up, what would be your advice, for instance, for those who would like the barangay to be more of a change agent, or who are looking at who they would vote for in the coming barangay elections? What would your advice be so that we can really see community development being propelled by the barangays themselves?
Actually, Amina, we have seen how the barangay itself, the barangay council can be a catalyst
Mm-hmm.
in the localities where they are serving, because many of our community learning hubs, the barangay council is our partner. They either provide space for our community learning hub, or they help us with some other things. Sometimes they are our go-between with the local elementary school. It's been inspiring for us to partner with the barangays kasi they are very appreciative. Kasi 'di ba
Mm-hmm.
in the Philippines, I think the most difficult assignment of all is the barangay. Is the barangay
Right.
more than the mayors,
That's
because
right.
people ask for your help in all
They'll,
of their
they'll
problems.
go to your house even if you're in the bathroom because you're
I
in the
know, I
village.
know.
Right.
So when husband and wife would quarrel, they would go to the barangay to ask
And
for,
then go to the barangay.
intervention. So it's really the
Yes.
barangay. But Amina, barangay elections in the Philippines should be non-partisan. And I think that's the best thing. It should be devoid of any kind of politics at all. But unfortunately, even if our law says that the barangay election should be non-partisan, it's still very partisan in the sense that, the local officials really do all they can to make sure that those who will emerge in the elections are their supporters, or are supportive of him of them, so that they use the barangay officials as their local leaders. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate in the sense that I really feel that if barangay leaders are apolitical, they will be in a better position to be of service, to provide the kind of service that is required of them by our constitution. Pero the realities are different, especially in the Philippines, where patronage politics is the kind of politics that we have. The barangay leaders are at the forefront of political wars between local government leaders. As far as we are concerned, we have not discussed politics at all in any of our projects where the barangay is involved. So we have projects with barangays who were supportive of my opponent during the elections, but who ha, who we have very very fruitful relationships with, and I think that's for the best. But having said that, part of our program also is providing for leadership trainings for the
Oh, yes.
Sangguniang Kabataan elections. For the benefit of those who are non-Filipinos who are watching this podcast. Sangguniang Kabataan is like a village council also, but these are the leaders of the very young. I think 18 years old, 18 to 21, if I am not mistaken. So during the past several months, we've had many trainings for them. We call the trainings Matino at Mahusay Leadership Course, to train young leaders who are aspiring to be SK officials. The kind of leadership that we feel the Filipino people will benefit from the most. So you know, I have very high hopes as far as our young SK officials are concerned. I just think that their idealism is what will bring energy to the change that we want to see as far as politics is concerned. Ang pinaka problema lang amin na pag nakaupo na,
Ah,
hindi din, hindi mapigilan ng mga local officials to also,
yes.
put them on the crossroads and make them very political also. So it's a continuing struggle that siguro people like us who want to help but are not in government mas maging conscious lang tayo of the realities on the ground so that we will know how to deal with them. Um, there are a lot of challenges, pero I'm still very hopeful. I'm still very hopeful as long as we just keep on pushing. Kasi ang feeling ko naman amin na for people we work with very, very closely, if they are given a choice between good and evil, parating they will choose good always over evil. But ano lang, you just need to give them the opportunities na makita nila kung ano yung ginagawa. It's been a challenge, pero all good.
I'm so glad that you're optimistic about the role that's going to be played by our sanggunians, our village councils, especially the young people. Because if you look at the governance structure in the Philippines, you have got hundreds of thousands, no millions of village council members all over. And if at the village level, they decide on a particular movement, so much
Malaking
can
bagay, yeah.
so much
Ang
can
ang
happen.
ang I think the problem amin na is it's a huge opportunity. Kung our village officials sana would be trained the better way as far as politics is concerned. Pero the reality is that most of them become subservient to the mayors because the barangays do not have except for Metro Manila, but the barangays in the localities do not have that much of a budget. So for them to be able to implement what they feel are needed by their own villages, they would need the support of the mayor. They would need the support of the local legislative council. So it's like they become subservient to them already. So ang problema if the local official is also very, the kind of politics for him is also very patronage oriented. So the village officials become like them also. So it's a continuing push and pull. Talagang you just have to know how to spot the good ones and make sure that you give the good ones the opportunity to better themselves.
Well, Attorney Lenny, as long as you're going to be around for years to come, inspiring our communities, our young people, I think I'm going to keep the candle brightly lit
Thank
and my
you.
optimism increasing. So, Attorney Lenny, before we go, and thank you so much for a wonderful conversation. But before we go, is there a message that you would like to share with our listeners?
Ano lang, siguro for the Filipinos out there who are watching, there is a message that I continually write to supporters who ask for my signature, who ask for a message from me. I always tell them to keep hope alive. I think it is very important to have hope in our hearts. Kasi it is that one thing that will give us the energy to keep on doing something for the country. Doing something for the country does not require us to do the big things. It can be small everyday things. As long as we do them well and we do them constantly. Um, I really feel that um, change in the country will happen if the civil society will all come together and decide to bolt in and push for the changes that we want to see. Siguro if at all, let's not depend on the politicians. Let's not depend on government alone to do the things that we want to see. Parang a lot after the elections kasi amin na a lot of my friends, when I see them, parang nagtatanong, parang wala nang pag-asa because of our government officials. And I always tell them na, we're still here. Even if we're out of government already, we can do many things in our own little way. And we've been trying to show that with Angat Buhay.
Yeah.